Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Eszylfie Taylor, who's the founder and president of Taylor Insurance and Financial Service. Eszylfie, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Hey, I'm excited to talk with you because it's always wonderful learning from people that have made mistakes, and just looking you up online and seeing what you've done and the video introduction that you put on your website just pretty much says, hey, I was super successful and then I realized. So I want to get into your journey, your mindset, and what you do to serve your clients, community, and everyone. But give us a little bit of background and what's your entrepreneurial journey been like?
Sure. To your point, I typically will lead off my talks with the fact that I'm arguably the biggest failure you've ever met in your life, right? every way you can mess up, lose something, fall on your face. I think I've done it, and I say I've done it at least once and learned from it. You see, I don't believe in winning and losing. I believe in winning and learning, right? So I can say I figured out all the ways not to do a lot of things, right? And then you take those defeats, you take those disappointments, and you become better from them, right? And I think that has translated into me being a more effective advisor, a more effective coach, a more effective father, right? And I think when we can't live our lives afraid to fail, we can't live our lives, afraid to stumble, right? There's Theodore Roosevelt has a famous speech, and one part of that speech is that there is no effort without error and shortcoming, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can't try something without making a mistake or falling short, right? And I think your willingness to press through that, your willingness to go in spite of, and people, but I'm afraid, Eszylfie, right? Well, if you can't get over your fear, then do it afraid, right? And if you do, right, and if you do, you will be better. You'll be better for it, right? And so that's the mantra by which I live my life and attack everything that I do.
I love it. And you mentioned the word disappointment, and it made me think of a question/learning point, because I love your point about you either win or you. And sometimes I'll do a webinar or a live training, and I'll say, okay, hey guys, finish the sentence. You either win or you, and they go, lose. No, you win or you learn. Because if you do, quote unquote, lose and not achieve what you wanted, what did you learn from that? So I love that mindset. So regarding disappointments, how do you advise people, or how have you learned to get through them faster? Because you can't prevent them. You can't prevent getting disappointment or making this, wrong turn. And you really actually should not have the goal of, I do not want to experience disappointment in my life, because it's just going to happen. You just got to deal with it. So how do you advise people to get through disappointments quicker?
Yeah, I tell people, if you think about embrace nature, right? It rains. It rains, right? But in order to see the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain, right? And so we have to deal with this part, and then you have to look at it. Although it does rain, it doesn't rain forever, right? Storms pass. And so I just try to remind people that typically, even hard times, there are moments in time. There are moments in time that will pass. And there's a by Michael Jordan, basically, it says, look, you're going to run into obstacles. You're going to run into walls in life, right? And instead of, turning and running away, why don't you figure out how you can go over it or through it or around it? And I think that's the difference. I just come to find in my life, the most successful people in life are simply those who can endure the most pain. Those who can say, I'm going to push, I'm going to press on in spite of. Right? Because if you're going, it's man, you're so lucky, or everything goes your way, and on the contrary, like, not really, right? Like it's just who's going to keep standing up, who's going to fall down and stand up, who's going to fall down and stand up, and it's like the last man, if the last woman standing, that's who wins.
Yeah, about 6 months ago, I was talking to someone on a podcast interview, and this phrase came up, and I was like, oh man, you should go trademark that. And we Googled around, and it's out there. So it's just now it's just a neat little thing, but it came to mind, which is real is rare. And I feel like when you can just be real, and whatever you're doing in sales, financial services, or working at whatever, it really doesn't matter. Being real and interacting with people in a real and human way is super rare, because there's so many times that you can be talking to someone and you're just like, they're just, come on. And when you can be real and honest about your failures, like what you've just been talking about, it kind of makes people realize, like, okay, you know what? I do want to learn from someone that has stumbled here, because they know where to point on the ground to say, hey, look, there's a roadblock. Let's go around this way. Because when I circumnavigated that roadblock, here's what I did. And they're like, okay, cool. Show me the way. So I think that honesty and transparency and authenticity applies across life, personal, professional. How have you found that translates into your work in financial services? Because I can only imagine that when you talk to people about one of the most sensitive subjects ever, their money, real is rare kind of applies.
Sure. I think it applies probably more so in financial services than a lot of industries, because when you think about it, I sell an intangible good.
Yeah.
I sell ideas. I sell peace of mind. I sell concepts. And so ultimately people are buying me, right? The company is of little consequence. The product is of little consequence. I'm selling a feeling. So to your point, being real, being authentic, and trustworthy is vital, because if they don't trust me, right, then how are they going to feel comfortable moving forward or putting their money somewhere in something that they don't trust, right? If you wanted a car, you probably went online, found the specs, and were like, this is what I want. Truthfully, whether the salesperson was good or not is of little consequence, right? You wanted that car, you wanted that shirt, you wanted those glasses, right? These are things that are tangible. You showed them off, right? Nobody shows off insurance policies. Yep. Nobody shows off investment statements. No one shows off their trust documents. Right? It was all about the connection and the relationship that you built with that advisor that was so important. So that's where I think for me I've learned that's vital. And then as I've moved on in my career and done different things, like I just launched a new ice cream company. It's the first Black-owned nationally distributed ice cream company called Creamalicious. I'm lead partner in that venture, right? I'm like, I've been selling intangible stuff for 20 years. Ice cream, that's got to be easy, right?
Yeah.
There, right? And so I think what I say when I was about life is how you do something is how you do everything. Once you realize, like, it's all about relationships, it's all about connection, it's all about service over self, and you understand those principles, then success will come, right? And I don't know when, right? But I believe it's just a matter of timing.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, it reminded me of a book way back in the day I read called Selling the Invisible. And it really is hard, because if you're selling, in your example there, ice cream, you can say, hey, look how creamy it is. Look how delicious it is. Look at all of our unique flavors. Look at all of these things that, hey, here's a sample. Oh, my word, it tastes so great. Now I want to buy it. But with intangible products, you really are selling something, like you said, which is trust, which is peace of mind. And in many cases, man, you can't put a price tag on that, because if you feel protected and you can trust someone about the most sensitive subject that you have, I mean, money and your retirement, man, that's pretty amazing. And I think you have to have an emotional attachment to that, because many times I'm sure you've talked to people that are pretty far off from quote unquote retirement, and you've got to help them realize that what you do now has dramatic impact on retirement because of compounding and moves you can make now that you can calmly make, whereas when you're closer to a certain age, then it becomes harder. So what do you advise your clients when they kind of look on the horizon and go, okay, that big R word, retirement, maybe it looks different from you for you than other people, because maybe you're going to do something different, not many people kick back and play golf all day long and go, cool, I'm retired, because maybe they're just doing a downshift in life and going a different direction. So you might need your money to do different things. How do you help your clients understand that perspective?
I think the first thing that's important is for people to recognize that you have to be shooting for something, right? One of my favorite quotes as it relates to planning is, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it with amazing accuracy, right? You have to be shooting for something. And one of the things that I find when I sit down with most people is a lot of people have stuff, right? Like got some retirement savings, maybe they own some real estate, maybe they've got a business or two, they've got stuff. But what very few people have is a plan, right? Like you've got all this stuff and you're putting money away and you're investing and you're trying to pay down debt and you're doing what you would perceive to be, good things, right? But are those things actively putting you in a position to reach your financial goals or not? I don't know, right? And because financial security, right, is all relative, right? What one, like I've got clients that retire with a couple $1,000,000. They tell me, Eszylfie, I need $50,000 a year of income to supplement what I have, and they're fine. I've got other clients, right, that might have even more money, but their lifestyle, their needs are so much greater, right, that $50,000 a year they would be in major trouble, right? And so that's where it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not because this works for the Smith family, it works for the Jones family. It's really a personal thing. And I think the sooner you identify, okay, what's my number? Where do I want to be? What am I trying to accomplish? Then the better off you'll be, right? And even then, even when you identify your number, right, there's still pitfalls and valleys and challenges to overcome, but at least you're going in the right direction. And that's the first thing that I do with people, and I think why I have such an effective relationship with so many of my clients, because they'll oftentimes like, no one's ever talked to me about that before. Like, and yes, maybe I have an advisor. Yes, maybe I'm doing some investing, but am I actively putting myself in a position to reach my goals? Maybe not.
You said a couple things there that jumped out at me. Two words that jumped out. One is plan, and the other is relationship. And the word plan to me brought to mind probably a graphic you've seen many times online where it's like, here's the typical road, what people think the road to success is. And it's got this, timeline from left going straight up to the right in a perfectly straight line. And then the picture next to it goes, but here's what really happens. And it starts off and then it goes squiggly, 10,000 directions. And then you end up there where you want to be. But you never know what's going to happen in the middle. And then the relationship, you could have said, well, the way that I transact business for my clients provides them with exceptional results. And that may be the case, but you take a personal relationship with your clients. And to me, if you want a good plan for your life now, before, during, and after retirement, and all of it through retirement, well, you better have a good relationship with someone that you know, like, and trust, so that they're looking at all of the angles going, well, you know what? On paper, we could do this, but you just told me this, and this. You know what? Here's something to consider. And that's why you cannot just go online and go, check the box, check the box, check the box. Yay, here's my retirement plan.
Right. I mean, it really, again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's something that is really personal. And I think the other part of it is that, right, the only certainty in life is uncertainty, right? So we can sit here today and based on your objectives and certain financial, models, say, all right, here's your perfect retirement plan. But then when push comes to shove, will that actually come to fruition? I have no idea, right? Like, life is going to happen. Things will come, right? Markets will perform. Markets will underperform, and we have to adjust accordingly. So this is not, this is not a sprint. It's a marathon, right? And it's a long-term engagement that requires, active communication and work and iteration.
Yep. 100%. Well, I really love your approach to what we first started off with. Basically, you could have gone right in for, let me tell you how people should plan for retirement. But no, you started off with, let me tell you about some mistakes I've made, how to get through disappointments, how to have the right mindset to only control or work on things you can control, because you'll drive yourself nuts if you try to control anything. And we can pick all kinds of things like the weather or the markets. Well, good night. If you could control the markets, you wouldn't be in the shape that you're in. You'd be all kinds of rich. But if we can only focus on and be concerned with things that we can control, now we kind of put ourselves in a little bubble to go, you know what, I'm doing all that I can, the best that I can, and then here comes the results. And the results might be what I want fully. The results might be what I want fully, but down the road, but you know you're working toward that. So what are your final thoughts and then on that concept of how people should approach their finances with that mindset? And then what's the best way people can reach out, connect with you, and learn some more of your teachings?
Yeah, I would say in anything, right? Again, marathon, not a sprint. I would advise people not to get too high on the highs and don't get too low on the lows. You have to understand that markets, everything in life evens out, right? And the one thing that I always say, and I try to remain positive because what I believe, what you think will manifest, right? Will manifest. And so if you're saying, hey, look, like when you asked me how I was doing at the onset of the day, right? Actually, it's the best day of my life, right? Yeah. I just believe in positivity. I believe in manifesting those things. And even in spite of, say, okay, you're positive yourself, does that mean bad things never happen to you? Oh, no, on the contrary. Every day I'm dealing with some kind of a challenge. Yeah. But I think it's my mindset and embracing those challenges and saying, okay, yes, I'm going through this challenge, but how can I learn from it? How can I be better from it, right, is it? And then I think educating yourself is important. I think it's, yes, you want an advisor. Yes, you need people that have experience and can guide you. But at the same time, you want to educate yourself. You don't want to just, I'm a blind zombie and I don't know what's going on and I'm just, trusting. I think for me, when people say, okay, what do you got for me, or explain your products to me, I tell people all the time, I don't sell products. Yeah. I solve problems. When I understand what you're trying to accomplish, when I understand what you need, then the plan will be revealed. Then I can build something for you. Up until that point, right, I'm here to be a guide. I'm here to not tell you what to do. I'm here to say, based on what you're saying you want, then here's the most efficient path for you to get there. And I think when you can reach that level of understanding as an advisor, that's your role for your client, not to push product, but to solve problems. And as a consumer, say it's my job to educate myself and really be in tune with what I'm trying to accomplish, so that I can give my advisor, right, some insight and some guidance as to where I want to be. Then I think that's the perfect marriage. But more so than anything else, if you said, but what's one piece of advice? Start, go, yeah. Right? The road to walk a mile begins with a single step. Right? And I'm not one who cries over spilled milk, but Eszylfie, I'm 50 years old and I haven't started yet. Or Eszylfie, I'm 30 years old and I've made a ton of mistakes already. I got $400,000 of student loans and I haven't even thought about it yet. Right, look, everyone's dealt a hand. Yeah. Some of us have a better starting hand than others, admittedly. But at the end of the day, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Right? So I love the adage, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why they call it the present, right? Yeah, and we want to cash in on that present.
I love it. Well, Eszylfie, thank you so much for coming on today. I've got the link to your website in the show notes, and people can reach out to you at Taylor, INSFIN, so short for insurance and financial. So Taylor, INSFIN.com. And thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure speaking with you and getting to know you.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.